Hey guys, it's quote unquote your boy, Ballface8020, back with another great response video. Sorry about all those politicopes. Hopefully I should be able to delete them pretty soon as it becomes, like I don't leave most of the politicopes up. Um, all right. So anyway, there's this guy, Taylor the Fiend. I'm sure a lot of you have heard of him. And So yeah, I've been I don't know how his videos came into mine. I know that I haven't watched him in a while, but I've watched a fair bit of Undead Chronic, and maybe that's why Taylor the Fiend's videos started getting in my feed, and then I've never really been able to watch too many of them, too much of them. Like there's a lot of them like I'll see the thumb and I'll click on it and I'll watch, but I'm never able to like watch more than like 30 seconds of it. It's the same thing every time. And this one though I was able to watch largely because I thought like, hey, this could be maybe I can do a reply of this one or some shit. Um and yeah, and so I want to talk about a little bit again about why I do these response videos. I think there may be because I think there's some MGTOW types who watch my channel. So the thing is, like, often when I'm criticizing MGTOWs, red pillars, I think understandably people can say, "Oh, well, you're simping for women," and it's not true because there are very, 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 very few women who watch my channel. I know there's at least one, but I seriously think she might be the only one. And I think she's like in her 40s. I'm not sure. I can't tell. So the the so like there wouldn't really be, and most of this MGTOW stuff is attacking or targets like younger women, and the so like there wouldn't be anybody, there's no women for me to simp for because no women are really ever going to hear about this. So who would I be simping for? And or maybe there's people say, well, I'm white knighting and stuff like that. Not white, not. And by the way, I haven't really been accused of this too much, but I think I have in the past. Just like, people would think that some people who come from a MGTOW background, they see my videos and think that being that I'm against MGTOW, or because that being anti MGTOW or even criticizing MGTOW means that I'm anti-man, and it's just not true. I'm pro man. I'm pro man, pro male. Um, my problem with MGTOW. I mean, first of all, like I've said many times, mainly this stuff is just for fun because like I enjoy discussing this stuff. But like I do think that MGTOW is problematic for men. That's my main problem is that I think MGTOW is bad for men. It really women doesn't is not the issue. I'm not a woman myself. I know women. Obviously, I have female. I don't really have any female friends, but I have female family members, and they I guess I have female acquaintances and stuff, but they're not really people who MGTOW would have any impact on. So I'm not doing any. Nothing I ever say is really meant to be in defense of women. I don't want to see anybody get hurt, men or women, unless there are people who think that like Joe Biden is decent and is not senile. Those are pretty much the only people like I wish ill. So I'm definitely not against men, and really, as for like simping for women, I don't really think of women as a group. Women have never asked for my help, and I'm not here to provide it. This is any concerns I have are almost totally about men. Um, so insofar as I have concerns. So we'll go back to this Taylor the Fiend guy. Sorry for that horrible rambling introduction. This Taylor the Fiend guy, again, every video is the same. It's him doing response to these like to other YouTube videos or sometimes TikToks, I think, where like he says like, okay, this is what women want, but they don't give anything, and men are walking away, and that's like that's like every one of his videos, except it goes on for like a long ass time. You guys think I'm long winded. It's like something that could be said once in 15 seconds. He instead says every day over the course of like half an hour. And from an entrepreneurial perspective, you have to kind of admire it that he's making all this content and stuff. Now, this guy is not really like an undead chronic type. To his credit, he's not a nasty guy. He's not like nasty or mean or anything. So in fact, he seems like he's probably a really nice guy, and he's not like, his stuff isn't really like, you could kind of call some of his stuff misogynistic. You could say that, but it's not like misogynistic in a mean-spirited or hateful way. It's more like a misogynistic and kind of like an irritated way. I guess if you haven't seen it before, you'll see it in this video. He's got some kind of accent. I can't tell if it's Australian or British. You know, like basically for me to know that it's an Australian accent, it has to be like really over the top, like, "G'day, mate." You know, if it's like that, I can tell that that's Australian, but like remember that Chingy guy? I thought he was from the UK. So I think Tale to the Fiend is probably from Lockdown, Australia, but I'm not certain. So anyway, I mean, enough preamble, right? Let's get into it and see what he has to say about women on the street show why men are walking away. So I guess he's kind of piggybacking off another MGTOW video. I have no idea, but that seems to be what the case is here.
Is there a difference between the dating advice that men get versus
that girl on the left is like so totally my type.
The dating advice that women get?
Yeah.
What is the difference?
Girls are like, oh, like, let's settle down, like, full one. Guys are like, okay, just hit and then go. Like, literally. That's the advice.
So basically.
Not literally. No, I don't, I mean, yeah, I think that's true. I think that's true for the advice, but that's what the question she was asked. She was asked more about like, what do men want and what do women want? And you know, like, it's such a meme, and it's not even a red pill meme. It's just as much amongst blue pillars. I really think it's only black pillars who get it. And the truth is that there's really no difference on that front. Like, for the most part, I would say that men are just as desirous of relationships as women are. And that includes even when they're young. I know that there's younger guys who are like kind of adverse to settling down and stuff like that. But generally speaking, even Chad types are not looking to hit it. They may be looking to hit it and quit it with a given girl, but even Chad types don't want to be single. You know, young Chad types don't want to be single. They want to be in a relationship. I seriously wouldn't be surprised if there's more. If you took men just like from the ages of 20 to 25, we won't even say 25 because they're already starting to grow up by then. Just from the ages of 20 to 22, I would seriously say that I would expect there are more men in that group desiring a long-term relationship than there are women in that age group. That's what I think. So let's go.
Men teach each other how to get laid, and women teach each other how to get relationships?
Yeah, definitely.
Interesting. So then doesn't that prove that men and women have different goals in dating?
Yeah, like 100%. Like, mostly speaking. Like, definitely some people
There's
are different,
some,
but
like,
good guys. But,
for sure.
yeah, a lot of...
Yeah, you see, the trade, guys, is commitment for bedroom fun, is what it is. Okay, and this is something we talk about a lot on the...
Well, I mean, that's fucking retarded. It's fucking retarded because commitment for bedroom, you're getting a shitty end of the deal. If that's what you're trading is if that's the reason you want commitment is for low hassle sex, you're a fucking moron because she's going to get old. So what's the game plan then? You know, and it's just bullshit. It's like, this is like red pill bullshit. It's just saying like women are breaking their end of the deal. That's really what it comes down to is MGTOWs and red pillars are saying women are breaking their end of the deal because they are, they're not, basically they're supposed to withhold, they're supposed to only be giving commitment to one guy, and what the guy gets out of that commitment is sex, and then what she gets is the commitment. And like this whole thing that like the men are the gatekeepers of commitment. It's like there's some truth to it, but it's really not true. Again, I think there's more women who want commitment than the other way around. And And again, I mean, more men that want commitment, even the other way around. I know I'm kind of repeating myself here, but again, even the Chad types, they want to be in a relationship. I'm just trying to think of how many Chads have I known who were like single for a long time. I seriously can't think. No, that's not true. I can think of one. I can think of one guy who I knew really well in high school and college. Yes, he was he was always single. But all the other ones, all the other Chads were all in relationships.
The channel, but guys are just encouraged to throw away their commitment. Right here, because society benefits from this. Check this out, right? Society benefits from you sitting there as a man thinking that your commitment isn't worth anything and that your value just comes from just giving it out freely to people. Right? Can you imagine, like, just how unhealthy that is to teach guys that message? And that's what young men are being taught.
Who's teaching them this? Who's teaching them this? What is he talking about? With saying that like men are being taught to commit. If anything, I feel like society's promoting hookup culture for men and women. And if anything, it's more that the stereotype is kind of that men should try to avoid commitment. Isn't that like what like all the like men's, I don't know what they say, but like men's magazines talk about ways to, remember in that Femcell video, she said the men's magazines are all talking about ways to avoid commitment and stuff. How is this? I mean, there may be saying that it's negative to like try to avoid commitment, but I mean, who is saying that men should give away their commitment? Who's saying that? What is he talking about?
Taught. Right? Oh, if you really like someone, you'll do this. If you really care for someone, you'll do this. If you're a good man, right? This is one of the worst ones, right? If you're a good man, then you're going to man up and provide for her. You guys heard that? We've all heard that before, man.
Well, I mean, I haven't, not personally and stuff. I think what I have heard is that if you have a kid, you're expected to provide for it. And the woman is then, if she's not working, is then expected to at least provide the child care. I've never seen a situation ever where a man was called on to provide financially for the wife and the kid and then also pay for like a nanny or something. In that case, it's always been the guy, if the guy's providing financially, the woman is expected to do the child rearing, which is expensive as fuck. Childcare is so expensive. Now they may still share some domestic chores around the house. In the Western world, we're more egalitarian about that stuff. And if you've got a problem with that, that's fine. I mean, okay. I mean, fair enough as far as I'm concerned. But I personally don't really care, and I don't think you should just underestimate just how huge of a burden childcare is. But I mean, I don't like this idea that men are like this. That seems kind of a MGTOW thing, right? That if women complain about being sex objects, men are success objects, and they're just expected to provide for a woman. Nope, never heard that. Sorry. I mean, I've seen some like pink pill type women or whatever on YouTube, like a tiny subset who were saying a man's got to take care of me and provide for me and stuff. But is society saying that? I've never seen it. So I don't know what the fuck he's talking about. For a kid, yes. For a woman, no.
I remember being a young kid and all this ladies first. You gotta let the ladies go first. Got to be chivalrous. Do what the girl wants first. Before, make sure you put everyone else first before yourself. And that's what men are taught. That's what makes you quite.
Not really. I mean, he's definitely right about like this kind of like ladies first and stuff. And when I was a little kid, I didn't get it either. But again, you have to kind of like I've explained in other videos. You have to kind of understand where chivalry comes from. Now, it's a little bit less relevant or much less relevant today in a more egalitarian society. But chivalry is a handover from a time when there wasn't as much equality between men and women. So, and as for like some stuff of chivalry, I just think is really stupid. Like, like pulling out a chair for a woman, or like, holding the car, opening the car door for her, or shit like that, or getting down on one knee to propose. Like, I think all that stuff's really stupid and cringe. I don't even think women like it. But I mean, it's not really a big deal, and I feel like there's less and less of that now. People like and I don't really feel like society's pushing it. And then now the one thing that I really see with chivalry is it's more about taking it easy on women and stuff like that. Because you'll often like you could like if you were in like a conflict with a guy, there's a very, I mean, depending on your age and where you live, there's a chance that it's going to get physical. It's going to get violent and you're going to fight the guy. Yeah, I mean, you could do that with a woman if you wanted, I guess, but it's just cowardly. I mean, everybody sees it as cowardly because it's not a fair fight. So the whole like thing of like equal rights and equal lefts, it's like, it's just what is the, and I'm definitely not like one of those like macho guys who's like, oh, you can't hit a woman. Yeah, I'm like the protector of women type things. Like that's just, those guys make me sick. But it doesn't mean that they're like, that we throw the baby out with the bathwater and start saying, oh no, okay, it is okay to start, because that's the main chivalry thing I see in our society, is that you can't hit women. You're not supposed to hit women. And I mean, really, obviously you shouldn't be hitting anybody, but beating on people who can't defend themselves, which on a physical standpoint is almost all women. There are exceptions, but for the most part, women can't really defend themselves physically from men. Okay. So, beating them up it's just gross and it's wrong. That's the real only chivalry thing I say. And to me, that just seems like part of being a decent human being. If I would say the same thing, like if we had a reverse case where we had some super strong woman, beating up a weak man, I would say that was every bit as fucked up. Just don't beat on people who can't defend themselves. It's not, and also like to me, like speaking for myself, like, if you ever watch like a female MMA fight, like, and this, I hope I don't get accused of white knighting for this, but I don't like female MMA because I hate seeing women get hit in the face. It's just something like, it just kind of like, there's just like I just have a really negative reaction to it. It's not like I'm like crying or something, and it has nothing to do with simping for women. It just like something feels wrong. It doesn't look like their bodies are like meant to be able to take it, and it's just like difficult to watch, I think. That went way too long. Sorry. Keep going.
Quote unquote good. Okay, but you want to talk about relationships? My goodness, does that not work? That kind of mentality will screw you over for years. And dudes still believe that, and they go till they're 30, 40, 50.
See, I don't see this. And the relationships that I see are all pretty equitable. I'm not saying it doesn't happen, but what about when the reverse happens? And again, don't you guys think it's much more likely that there's more relationships where the guy is taking advantage of the girl than the reverse? I mean, it would seem that that's what the data backs up, because we know that in relationships where one partner is like disabled or ill, that the man is something like insane, like 6 times more likely to leave than the woman is when it's the guy who gets, fucked up or that shit. So, I mean, I don't know, like, I mean, this is kind of like some sort of like MGTOW, red pill fantasy world that that men are all being taken advantage of and abused in relationships, because I just don't see it, and I've never seen any data to back it up. Not saying it doesn't happen, because I know it does. I just think that the reverse probably happens more.
Believing that some of them never find out that that's not effective at all, and they just get ran through, man. I'm talking divorce courts. I'm talking, BPD girls who ruin their lives. I'm talking girlfriends who are just crazy, and they're just encouraged to put up with it. Hell no, dude.
Is it harder?
Well, okay, again, I've mentioned this before. Divorce court is biased against men, okay, especially when kids come into place. That is wrong, okay? I don't know how many times I have to say it. That's wrong. It's not good. It should change. I think they say, but if you really have a problem with it, blame men, as they're the ones making the laws. But I do think it's important to point out that when we have the data that men's life satisfaction increases with marriage. Women's life satisfaction decreases with marriage. Now, I know there's other shit that goes on here. I know that there's a lot of broad stuff, but that may be why men are more likely to put up with a situation that may seem shitty And I know that there's cases where there's guys who are in shitty marriages, but they're staying just because they don't want to lose their kids or lose half their wealth. I get that. But that's kind of a trade-off. That's just kind of how it goes. And I agree that with family courts are biased, but you have to, like, women are more likely to seek divorce because women are more likely to be dissatisfied with the relationship. I know this isn't exactly what he was talking about, but wanted to bring it up because it's related.
For a man to get the woman he wants into bed, or for a woman to get the man she wants to commit?
Women to commit. That one. Yeah, I think so. In my personal experience.
So you think it's harder? So you think it's harder for women to get men to commit?
Yeah, personal experience. Yeah.
But don't women typically expect a man to commit before she's willing to give him sex?
Depends.
Look at that grin. Look at that grin, man. She doesn't do that. Right? Like, tell me that facial expression doesn't just tell on itself. Let's go back 5 seconds and look at that, actually. Watch when he asks the question, watch her smile.
Yeah, but don't women typically expect a man to commit before she's willing to give him sex?
Depends.
She's like, whoops, man. The answer is, these girls don't do that. Okay, they wanna go have the bedroom fun, and then they wanna try and secure the relationship afterwards. Now this creates a huge problem because the men who are getting the bedroom fun, well, they just say, why the hell would you commit, right? And then a lot of the guys who are getting no bedroom fun and no attention at all, they're thinking to themselves, well, why would I commit either, right? So it's kind of leaving the ladies in a little bit of a predicament here, right? Because it's getting to the point where a lot of guys who are not Chad, not that guy that she wants to see every, on a weekday at 2 a.m. in the morning, those guys are starting to say, hell no, screw this, man. I'm not going to go for a girl.
And where is this? This is what I'm talking about. Red pill fantasy. Where is the data that backs this up? Where is the data that shows that men are walking away? Because I've never seen it, and I don't even see it anecdotally in my life. In fact, all I see, everywhere I go is men, pretty aggressively pursuing women. Not the, so I don't know what he's on about here. This idea that men are being like, like we're not, because here's the thing, right? Don't you think, like, I would have noticed it? Like, I've essentially been, I had that one brief relationship when I was either 19 or 20, I don't remember. But I've been out of the relationship game pretty much since then. And so 18 years, right? And don't you think I would have seen something of like girls being sad that like I wouldn't commit to them if the idea is that normie guys, if that, women are all distressed that normie guys won't commit to them? I mean, it's actually been kind of the reverse. Some of the girls who I've been with, in my 20s and in my 30s, like none of them ever expressed any interest in a relationship. Okay. I don't know, maybe I'm a one-off, maybe I'm weird, maybe all these guys out there really do have women who are really distressed that they won't commit to them, but I haven't seen it. It hasn't been, if anybody should have seen it, it should be me, and I haven't. So, not sure what he's on about.
Who's been having her fun until she's 30, and then she expects me to come along and pick up the pieces. I mean, just look at that grin, man. Tell me that doesn't, that's just not her telling on herself.
So, okay, this is the red pill thing. It's the epiphany phase, right? Women, when they're young, they just want to get fucked by Chad, and then they hit the wall, and they realize they want to settle down and have kids, and that's when they start looking for a beta bucks provider. Now, there's a million things wrong with this, but let's just think about the problem just from inside the red pill's own logic, right? These guys, Taylor the Fiend is admitting in this video that these younger girls aren't just looking to have fun. They're looking for commitment already. It's just that they're looking for commitment from Chad. So the only epiphany, so it has nothing to do with having fun or anything. The only epiphany is it starts to be maybe their standards get a little bit more realistic as they age. So there's no thing like this idea that the red pillars can't make up their mind. Are women being too slutty, or are they being too particular? Because, I mean, we've seen it both ways, right? We've seen it both ways. On one hand, they're saying women just want to get fucked and shucked by Chad when they're young. On the other hand, they're saying, no, they want to actually get commitment from Chad. So I think what they're trying to say is that women want commitment from Chad when they're young, but they can't get it, so they put up with being fucked and chucked. And then when they realize like that they're being taken advantage of and that they don't like this lifestyle anymore, then they hit the epiphany phase and stuff like that. But it's described often in a very inconsistent way. And it's always described as kind of like a plan, like they plan to do this. And like this is some sinister woman conspiracy. And it's just like, and also then the other thing is that it's most women. Now, women who look like these two girls, no, I'm sorry, even then it's not most of them. Most girls like this, because I've seen it, like for my sister was a Stacy Light, so I saw like her and her friends, and they were all in relationships with high tier normies or Chad Lights, so from like their early 20s on, and so I mean it's just fantasy. Now these two girls, they seem the more the party type, but again, you don't project this attractive partying, this attractive young woman who's into the party scene as being representative of all young women or even most young women, because it's not. Okay, it's just not. Yeah.
Times are changing. Times are changing. It used to, yes. Now it's like you can people just sleep with whoever. Easier.
Well, people say to me like now it's like a hookup culture, but doesn't that typically only apply to the right men, not all men?
No, all men. Pretty much all men, but probably I guess maybe there's some good ones out there. If you know any, let me know.
You see, it's so crazy how we can see this time and time again, right? Of the girls, they'll cry about, there are some good men, I'm sure, and if there are good men that you know, well, can you point them out to me? If you let girls decide who their partners are going to be and, run their relationships and stuff like that, man, chances are it'll turn out poorly. Now, they can decide however they want. I don't particularly care, but just watch.
If you don't care, why are you making a video about it every fucking day? Like, literally every day. Or, like, literally every day of the week, I think. I mean, I think it's seriously like 5 videos a week. So don't tell me you don't care.
Watching the ladies run around and try and have successful relationships is very funny. Okay, now can they have that decision? Like I said, I don't particularly care. If girls can go out here and they can do whatever they want, but I think we should all acknowledge that it is. it's like they have no idea what they're doing, man. They have no idea what they're doing, and something about the men that they select as well. Okay, is girls are selecting dudes that other women want. Okay, and what that leads is like they don't even know what they want in a guy. Sometimes they can find this attribute attractive, sometimes they can find that attribute attractive, and it's like this constantly shifting thing where even if they get into relationships, the odds of them being happy is so incredibly low, right? Because they've seen what's out there, right? So let me give you guys a quick example before we continue. Let's just say, you've been out on the housing market, right? Let's just say you were in the business of, you were looking to buy a house or rent a house. You guys might have been out there looking, okay, and you might have found the fantastic one. You really like it. It was super cheap, man. It had a sick view. It looked fantastic. All the rooms were nice and modern. It was exactly where you wanted it to be. The color was all good. It was exactly the house that you wanted. And then you found out that somebody else got it, okay? Now you're going to continue to go out and try and get a house for that price again, even if there are no more, right? And so what that means is, in terms of the analogy, is a lot of these girls, when they get with a guy who's super attractive, they think that they are then entitled or that they'll be able to find another guy like that, right? It ruins the rest of dudes for them.
She's like, I'm looking. Look at this face.
All right, how about this? If you happen to be looking for a quality man, where would you expect to find one?
Like school, I think is a good one, because they're like focused and driven. They have goals. They have goals like in life. Like that would be good, I think.
I mean, you could just say places where, gonna get money. It would be.
Yeah, I mean, going to school is probably not going to. I mean, she didn't say law school or something, or medical school, but like, I think it's kind of a good question that the guy asked. Like, where are you going to go to find a quality man? And I think it's really kind of a problem with our society. That there isn't really if you're looking for a quote unquote quality partner, and you're just part of, this secular Western society, where would you even look? I guess you just kind of have to like just, hope that you come across the right person. But I don't really think there's any environment you can go to, whereas like people who are part of insular religious or, immigrant communities can just do kind of arranged marriages and dates that the people who they already know have like these really solid values. And whereas, you're out in the Western world and stuff, we all kind of have the same sort of hedonistic values. And it's going to make it harder if that kind of stuff is really important to you to find someone who's looking for the right stuff. So in answer to the guy's question, where would you go to find a guy? Geez, I don't know. I don't think there's anywhere you could go. And just like I don't think you could find anywhere at the reverse either. But I think you just have to kind of hope that you get lucky.
Yeah, the answer to that question.
Good guy. You're always looking for the good guy.
Yeah, I think it's
the perfect Prince Charming.
So doesn't that prove that men and women have different goals in dating?
Yeah, I think. Bottom line, yeah.
Yeah, I think we definitely have different goals.
No, I disagree.
If either of you were looking for a quality man, where would you expect to find one?
I don't know.
I would definitely say the gym or church for me.
Aw, cutesy. I would probably say church, or like I think a grocery store would be prime.
What the fuck? Grocery store? What is she talking about?
Yeah, and you see, it's just code for a provider, right?
No, it isn't. I don't know what the hell the grocery store one is, but there were main things that she said. What, a gym is code for a provider? No, a gym because he's taking care of himself, I guess. And then the one chick said school because he'd be at least wanting to do something. What do you think men would say if they were asked the question? Coding looking for a provider. You think women in that age group are looking for a provider? Now they don't want a guy who makes less than they do. That's true. That's for almost every woman, but that's about as far as it goes.
Someone who's generous to a fault.
Where are you getting that? Where did they say anything like that? What are you talking about?
That generous to a fault is what they're looking for in a good guy. You see, they already know the plan later on, right? Where to find a good guy and stuff like that. Sometimes we on the channel we cover Reddit articles and stuff like that. And there's this one particular subreddit that we go to, and if you know, you know, okay? And on this subreddit, guess where they find the good men? They find the good men at charity functions, okay? Because what better way to find a good man than a man who's going to supplement your lifestyle and pay for you and just be a naive little...
Except, okay, I'm pretty sure he's talking about FDS. I've never seen this. That does seem like something they'd recommend. No, because if you understand anything about FDS, and FDS fucking sucks, don't get me wrong, but FDS is like one of the biggest things that FDS is always pushing is make your own money. Don't be dependent on a guy for anything. Now, they still want the beta bucks. So seriously, fuck FDS. I'm not defending FDS, but I do think if you want to critique them, you need to at least understand them. So like they still want a guy to spend money on them. That's true. But they also say you shouldn't be dependent on it. So they're not looking for a guy to provide. In fact, having a guy provide would be the opposite of what FDS wants or what FDS says to do. And then as for the charity thing, I think it's because they're always trying to say they're looking for those HVMs that like care about others. And like honestly, charity work is I don't know if you're going to find too many desirable guys doing it, but if you're looking for a decent guy, I can't really think of a better place to go. If you don't want to just if you don't want it to just be random, because it's so tough out there, dating for men and women. Depending on what they're looking for. But finding a lifetime partner it's hard. It's really hard. There's a reason that most of the world has historically had arranged marriages.
A naive little dude is what they're looking for. Just someone who's naive, who's not going to think twice and just open up the wallet and say, "Sure, honey, that's the quote unquote good guy." This is why you don't listen to girls when they define a good guy and a bad guy and all these morals and stuff. It doesn't work, man.
A lot of the dating advice nowadays is find a man who's rich and that's going to spoil you. That's all I hear from women nowadays working for the club scene. But when it comes to men, I would honestly have to say focus on yourself, work on building an empire for yourself, and then settle down for a woman. Because most of these ladies, Especially in Hollywood, California, or in Vegas, you find a woman and they're most likely just going to want to go for you for your money and not because of love.
Yep, ad coming up.
Monday.com Work Docs is a new kind of doc. You don't just write with it, you create entire workflows.
Okay, so Taylor the Fiend's about to go on a simp thing talking about how great that guy is. Now, look, this guy who was saying that, he was saying out here, I think they're doing this interview either in Los Angeles or in Las Vegas or something, so someplace where it's a lot of gold digger types. But I've never really experienced this, women looking for money. I'm not saying it doesn't happen. But as for like, think about the type of women who are only looking for a guy for his money. They tend to be attracting guys who are only looking for a woman because of, her looks. So it's a trade-off. It's a trade-off, all right? Let's be realistic here. And as for the advice that, about building your own empire and stuff, again, this goes back to what I talked about. You're not going to make a lot of money in sales. You're not really going to make a lot of money doing anything. So this idea of like building an empire is very naive. This whole like work on yourself thing. What do you expect to get out of working on it yourself? You think you're going to make yourself into a millionaire? I mean, it could happen, but if you're watching Taylor the Fiend YouTube videos or Ballface 80/20 videos, for that matter, it's probably not going to happen. I'm thinking like the most successful guy I know, and he's more of like an acquaintance of an acquaintance, is only making like $350,000 a year. So that $350,000 is probably enough where $350,000 is probably enough where you can start impressing women with your money. But like, are you really going to be impressing women with $150,000 a year? Because that's like the upper limit of what you're probably going to be making. Unless like, I mean, I told you guys, right, about how my first sales job, the best guy there was making like 130 to 150. So, I mean, that's about it. You're not going to make a ton of money in sales. And you can say, again, unless you're like a lawyer who's made partner in a firm or a doctor or, especially some kind of specialist doctor, it's going to be a grind, because I deal with small business owners every day and they're doing well. But not enough. They're not millionaires usually. And if they are millionaires, it's like they're just millionaires, and money and money is tough. So you're not going to. It's like very few guys are going to be able to make a lot of money. Very few guys, and to do it, it's just like anything else. Like, well, how do you like have women throw themselves at you? It's like look like Henry Cavill. Well, very few guys look that good. Like, what is it? 5% of guys maybe. Really have the true Chad look that they're going to have women throwing themselves at him. Like even a Casey Xander, like who's like, he's, probably in the top 25%, a guy like him is still going to have to put in some effort. He's not going to have women just throwing themselves at him. But, and it's mostly like there needs to be some genetic base for it. Same thing with making money. It's mostly like, are you really that smart? Do you really have those connections and stuff? Generally, it's going to be hard to make a lot of money. So this like build an empire thing is very naive advice because you're probably not going to be able to. I'm not trying to discourage anybody, like, because you may be able to. I don't know your situation. But you have to go out there and, just everybody's got their natural ceiling. One thing I can liken it to is my experience playing chess, where, I've studied and I've worked on it really hard. And I pretty quickly hit a ceiling. I got to a point where I just couldn't get much better. I was as good as I could get. And you're going to find that in anything. So, it's not like it's going to be hard to make a lot of money, and you're probably not going to do it statistically. Obviously every situation is different. This isn't meant to be discouraging, but I'm just talking about statistically.
Wow. That's a shout out to this guy. All right, and I'll add on to that. A lot of men are not even looking for the settle down part that he was talking about there, right? A lot of guys are looking at this situation and going, "Oh yeah, sure, I'll build my empire, right? I'll build it to the point where I'm undeniable, and even at that point, I'm not going to commit to a girl."
This is pure MGTOW revenge fantasy. That we're okay. Okay. What's going to happen is women are all young, really attractive women. So we're already talking about women who are like in the top 20%. So for some reason, them going after their looks match is problematic, right? There's women in this top 20%. They shouldn't be going after guys in the top who looks in the top 20%. They should be going with guys who look like us in their prime. But since they're skewing us in their prime, we are going to spend our youth building up empires. Then we're going to have money, and these same women are going to now come to us because they're not going to be able to get Chad to commit. And we're going to say, oh, well, guess what? You missed your chance. Now that we all have this money, we're not going to commit to you. This is a revenge fantasy. But here, the truth is that the overwhelming majority of these women are going to get commitment from their looks match, and the ones who don't, are they necessarily going to be interested in us? Well, why would they? I mean, because most of us are not going to have a lot of money. I mean, not everybody can be rich, right? And then on top of that, though, then it's the next thing is, then we're going to tell them to go kick rocks. Not going to happen. Not going to happen. There are women on sugar daddy sites who are single mothers and post 30 and have guys paying their bills and paying for their kids' bills. I mean, they're not even faking a relationship. It's just a blatant sugar daddy thing. There's always going to be some guy to simp for them. You guys who've got a lot more money than us, who don't think about MGTOW shit. Get real, man.
That's the point where we're at right now. A lot of the guys are saying, "Yep, got it, Chief. I'm gonna focus on myself. And sounds fantastic. I'm gonna focus on my job. Right? Nobody else has been there for me while I'm in the gym. Right? I've gone through girls who haven't been there for me. No relationship has proven successful thus far. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to focus on myself. I'm going to hit the gym. I'm going to make money. And a lot of these guys who they get very physically fit and they make a lot of money.
Women don't give a shit how physically fit you are. It's like that is such a red pill, blue pill meme. I know I've talked about this before. Women just don't care. I mentioned this before. There's the one tiny exception is if you are a tall frame cell. That is the one exception. You will, because if you're a tall frame cell, bulking up, that will improve your SMV. Because if you're just too skinny, that can be a real turnoff to girls. But but most guys obviously have at least average frames, which means you're not really going to get much out of bulking up. Again, even if you're a tall guy with an average face, like say you're 6'2" with an average frame and an average face, bulking up might help you a little bit there. It'll help you a lot if you're skinny, but bulking up there might help you a tiny bit, especially for those fringe girls who are into muscles. But nah, I mean it's just kind of it's just not something women really care about. Now you don't want to be too fat. Women don't like that. Although they'll make an exception if you've got a good face and frame and height under the blubber, but they definitely don't want to be too fat. But again, it's got to be pretty fat before it starts really hurting your SMV. There are no women, it's gay guys who like 6-pack abs. Women don't care. So getting a 6-pack is not going to make you any difference to you. Like me, I've got a pretty big gut. And I know that this isn't me making an excuse not to lose weight. It's just that if I did, I just know it wouldn't improve my SMV because it's not a big deal, because I'm not fat enough that it's subtracting from my SMV, because you've got to be pretty fat to be at that point.
Even then, once they've built their empire, a lot of them are figuring out, okay, well, there was nobody with me the entire time, so why?
So a lot of them, give me some numbers. How many men are walking away? How many of these men who've gone on to build an empire, which apparently is most guys watching MGTOW YouTube videos. These guys have all built their empire, and you're saying that they're mostly walking away. Can we have some data about how many guys, what percentage of successful men are skewing relationships? Because I think it's probably pretty close to 0%. Very few perpetually single successful guys, but maybe I'm wrong. So let's see some data.
Why the hell would I commit at the end of it? Right? So it's that.
Because that's what you are inherently driven to do. All right? then this is why MGTOW can't work, because over 90% of men have a biological drive to be in a monogamous relationship with a woman. Okay? You know, that's who you're, I mean, you guys are all about embracing biology, embracing reality, but you want to talk about female biology, but you don't want to talk about male biology. What about males, you know, drive for commitment? You know, what over 90% of guys have. So, you know, commitment and family. I'm sorry, that's what most guys want, okay? That's what most of your own viewers want. I think it's probably what you want, Taylor the Fiend. If it wasn't, why would you keep making this shit?
That's like a cynical thing I'd like to add on to that, man. Shout out to this guy. He seems to know what's going on. Probably, maybe he's RP aware, maybe he's not, right? But he works at the clubs, so I assume you'd have to be to a certain extent if you're working around clubs.
It's assume, not assume. I think why do British and Australians and stuff have so much trouble, you know, pronouncing the words correctly? There's no H, so it's not you would need an H for it to make a sh sound, okay? It's assume, not assume. And this is every fucking British person and Australian person does it. And you would think that, like, in the UK, like, since you invented the language, you think you'd be able to speak it correctly, but apparently they can't.
To any extent.
Genuine, and then you can get to know a person better. But right now we have apps like Tinder and shit like that, and it's like, oh, you want to fuck, yes or no, and then it turns into that, and then it never becomes into a relationship. And because it starts like that, I feel like it turns into these toxic, like, dumb relationships, I guess. It's not
a lot of them don't even turn into relationships.
Not like realistic.
Do you think that dating apps have killed romance?
I don't want to say yes, but I feel like it has more towards that way than actually creating romance. I feel like it's kind of hard to find romance through social media because I feel like it's all very fake in a way.
Yeah, it's fast food shopping is what it is. Okay, and maybe this guy was being a bit too generous with the question. Look, social media has certainly ruined it. Okay, but it is the women who are making the decisions at the end of the day. You know,
most women are not on dating apps, so, you know, needs to be said.
We can blame social media, and I agree, right? Social media takes a huge role in this, but at the end of the day, the women are the ones who are making decisions based off of social media and perceived value of themselves. You got to understand as well, right? With social media, these girls get hit on so much, and they're not even getting hit on just from dudes in your area, right? You might think it's wherever you live, and she's just got the options wherever it is you happen to live in the world. No, she's getting hit up by dudes in different countries, different states, and stuff like that, depending on where you live. You are a small number nowadays, guys, right? And the only real logical conclusion to that is focus on yourself. I really like what that guy said earlier in the video. I think that was a really smart take. This guy right here, if you can see the little thumbnail. Oh, was it that guy who said it? But focusing on yourself is most important. Yeah, I believe it was him.
Well, and I've said it before, and, you know, like, that focusing on yourself is a road to nowhere. And, you know, first I kind of criticized that, if you see in my earlier videos, is that focus on yourself is problematic because it teaches you to worship yourself. And that's true, but I really, really regret saying that. I really regret saying that. Because, you know, I don't know, maybe I shouldn't say this, but I'm just going to tell you from my perspective. If worshiping myself was going to make me happy, I would do it. Yeah. So I would rather, like, I don't think, you know, like, I don't ever want to get on here and, like, moral shame people and stuff. So the problem is the whole point of the black pill isn't really supposed to be some type of lesson in morality. It's supposed to be about, is this stuff going to work? And working on yourself, it's just like, again, like I said earlier, road to nowhere, because what are you really going to change? You know? I mean, what are you going to change? You're going to change your height, you're going to change your frame, you're going to change your Norwooding, you're going to change your, you know, your facial structure and your eye area. You're going to change your intelligence. You're not even going to change your personality. You know? So what are you really going to change? What are you going to do? And how long is it going to take? And how many skills are you need to develop? And, you know, is there always going to be this strain of not being, of, you know, this kind of nonstop striving and clinging? And I just don't think it's going to work. I don't think it's going to work. You know, like, what's the person you want to be, and are you realistically going to make yourself into that person? I don't know, man. I really don't know. It can happen, but I don't know.
All very fake in a way.
In today's society, you got Bumble, you got Tinder, you got Plenty of Fish. You can match with the girl on a Wednesday and get her in bed on a Friday.
But doesn't that typically only apply to F-boys?
No, it doesn't. You don't even have to try. You can say, hey, let's go on a date this Friday. I'll take you out to sushi. Let's get some sake in us, and before you know it, she's at your house and you're getting it all.
Don't women typically make up?
Yeah, he knows the game, right? And I will say this as well, for the guys who are not necessarily as attractive, it's going to be a lot harder for you than that. Okay, it's...
Well, I mean, we'll wrap it up here because it's already too long, but I think that this guy, that is kind of the point I'm trying to make. He's not really that good looking. He's not a bad looking guy. And his face is fine, but good, definitely good skull. Looks like he's taller than average, big frame, but he's not a giant. He's not huge, and his face is, you know, okay, maybe, you know, probably a bit above average, but nothing special. So what are the kind of girls he's getting with? The kind of girls he's getting with are his looks match and below. All right? His looks match and below, which is pretty much every guy can do that. You know, get their looks match and below. This guy is not a Chad. I don't even know if I'd call him a Chad light. I mean, maybe if he shaved that horrible beard. But you know, he's a high tier. He's really probably a high tier normie, and he's getting with girls who are high tier normie, who's getting with high tier Beckys. So, you know, I think that a lot of these guys who are out there saying Chad only, well, it's for girls who are the girls out there who are saying Chad only. Those are all Stacy Lights, and high tier Beckys. Those are the girls who are saying Chad only. The other girls realize very quickly that Chad only isn't realistic. Okay, and so that's kind of like a problem with both the red pill and the black pill in that sense. So anyway, very long video today. Sorry about that. That's all for now, and I'll see you in the next.